What's going on, folks? Yours truly here, Papa Goat. If you're tuning in, please give me a thumbs up so I can make sure you hear me. Today, as you can see, we have the one and only Joe Derilus. We're here to
Yes,
talk
sir.
real estate. As
All
you can
right.
see, the PPP of the loan buying process. And as always, the show will start right after this. All right, today I have the honor and privilege to have Mr. Joe the realist. And as you guys know, Joe and I, we go way back.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when we was wearing diapers and cowboys boots. Now I'm just playing not that far, but
Not
we
that far
actually
back.
went back. What is it? Middle school, right?
Yeah, middle
Um,
school.
but as you know, if you watched the very first episode of the show, Joe was my very first guest because he's the reason Papa Goat has this show because he helped me set up all this stuff, man. I don't know anything,
Yeah,
but if you can hear us, give us a thumbs up so we can know the audio is working fine. But today, Joe, thank you for coming.
my
Um,
pleasure. Thanks
it's
for
a
having
pleasure
me.
to have you, man. It's a pleasure to have you, and we know that you are a realtor. And today, I love the title. And before we start, I want to give everybody a little story behind this title, right? So I was talking to Joe. I said, "Hey, what's the topic?" And out of nowhere, he's like, "Hey, the PPP of the loan process." I said, "Oh man, Joe. Anyway, go ahead, introduce yourself, my brother, for the viewers, and before we tackle our topic for tonight."
Yes. My name is Joe Derilus. I am a realtor in Central Florida. I am the team leader of the Realist Home Team, brokered by EXP Realty, and I'm just excited and happy to be here on the one and only Mr. American Dreams show. Whiskey Wednesday.
Yeah,
I
boy.
don't have any whiskey though. I guess I came unprepared.
I'll drink
But
for
yeah,
you.
so tonight we're gonna talk about I guess really it's the PPP of the home buying process. Um, which the loan process is part of that. But yeah, it's the PPP of the home buying process. We're gonna talk about that, and I hope to share some insight with you that's gonna help everyone that's listening to kind of just get ready for this new year. It's the end of the year right now. Everything that's on people's minds is just where's my gift, and how do I find a gift for my loved ones and things like that. So but this information can definitely help put you in a good position as 2022 comes around, that you'll be in a better place for home ownership.
Absolutely. And make sure you are sharing that live with everybody you know. Share it to your page because it's going to be very valuable information here coming from Joe. So now we're going to be talking about the PPP loan buying process. So, number one, we have plan, prepare, perform. And Joe is going to be, unpacking exactly what that mean in the home buying process because right now, to tell you the truth, even though, Joe, I am not fully in real estate, I have, I believe, four people reach out to me and they actually going to the pre-qualifying process right now
Nice.
for home buying. And you and I, we work on a lot of deals together. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about the planning process, because people just think like, okay, hey, I'm gonna just go buy a house. No, there is some planning that must be done. So, Joe, let's talk about the planning that needs to be done on the home buying process.
All right. So yeah, so the first P of the PPP of the loan buying process, or the home buying process, is planning, right? It's plan. It's like you said, it's purchasing a home for most people. Like I would say for all people, really. It's a huge financial transaction, right? and it's also on the financial side it's big, but it's just personally and what it does for a family is just it's huge. It's huge. It's life changing. You know, so it's not something you just you wake up today and like, man, I'm gonna buy a house tomorrow. Now, if you have it like that, great. Props to you. But for most people, it's a that decision comes after a lot of preparation, right? So that's why we say that's why the first P is planning. So what goes into planning? The planning is it's first having a conversation with your family, just sitting down and say, "Hey guys, here's what we're planning to do." Right? In the next 6 months, 6 9 months, or up to a year, or even up to 2 years, we plan to purchase a home. All right. So at that point now, everyone's gonna talk about what they're gonna want, where they want to live, what they're gonna want the house to look like. So that goes into the planning process. So one of the first things I think uh, families should think about is location. That's part of the planning process. Figure out, drive around your town, go to another county or go to a different zip code and see what those communities are like, what the neighborhoods are like, and what you would want in a specific location, so you can kind of try to narrow down exactly where. It's not just saying, okay, I want to buy a house. Okay, well, where? So that's part of the planning process that I think people can go through, and it could be a fun experience also to on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday morning. You take your family, you visit different open houses, you go to some new construction communities, and just kind of see what's out there. And then you also got to think about the motivation, right? What's the motivation for purchasing the house? Is it because my friends from high school are buying homes? Is it because my sister, who I've been competing with since I was little, she just bought a house, so I have to buy a house? Whatever it may be. Hopefully, the motivation is that for one, you need a place to stay, you need shelter. But secondly, it's a huge step in really building and creating wealth for your family, right? So the proper motivation needs to be behind it, and that goes on in the planning process. And then the last thing I would say is think about your goals for purchasing that property, right? So personally, whenever I work with a client and they've purchased a home, it's not the end of it, right? So I think purchasing your first home is a great sort of introduction to the real estate industry. um, and from there, one, now you've got your home, it's an asset. Well well now how can I use that asset to build myself more asset, which is basically accumulating wealth and creating wealth for the next generation, for your family, for years to come. So those three things I would say should definitely go in the planning process, thinking about location, your motivation, and ultimate goals for you and your family.
I I think you hit it right on the ball, and especially I want to ask you, can somebody be motivated to buy a house but for the wrong reason? What do you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. um I mean, if sometimes people say, I just don't want to rent anymore, you know, or I just, um, I mean, you hear things like, people say, I don't want to make my landlord rich or whatever. So, I mean, well, I would take that back. I wouldn't say necessarily the wrong motivation.
Hmm.
I think it's more about figuring out what's the right motivation. Because at the end of the day, I think purchasing a home is there's not a lot of downside to it. 9 out of 10 times, I would say it's the best decision you could make. But it's important to find the right motivation for you personally, because that's what that's also going to do is it's going to really help your level of commitment to the process, because it is a process that it's not easy for most people. But if you have that motivation really at the forefront of your forefront of your thinking, and and it's something that really is meaningful to you, like for example, um, wanting your kids to have their own rooms, wanting, you had, let's say you have a daughter of a son, and maybe you're in an apartment and they're sharing a room, but you want each of them to have their own room, like things like that is so can keep you stay on track with the plan, stay on track with everything you need to do to prepare yourself to ultimately get that home.
Got you. Definitely. Now, we're gonna be talking about preparing, because planning is one thing, and I
Yeah.
think you did a wonderful job layering each component. So let's talk about some of the preparation that goes into the home buying process. How do somebody
Yeah.
prepare, and what are some of the things they should be looking at?
Oh man. So after you plan, in preparing yourself for that, so you've planned, you've had that conversation with your family, and you guys made the decision. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. The first thing I would say is you want to meet with a realtor or a loan officer, or even someone at your bank, at the bank that you bank with. um, and the first thing that's really part of the preparation phase, um, is you want to start first with income, right? So your income is gonna be kind of determine your income is gonna determine the amount of of the loan or mortgage that you're gonna be able to get. So that means whatever you can do to earn more, definitely do it. Well, not whatever, but legally.
Hmm.
Any legal means, of course. Um, so the income is very important. It's one of the main things that a lender is going to look at, and in rel in relation with the income is also your work history, right? So the lenders, they want to see consistent work history. All right, consistent work history just means that there are no gaps in employment. Um, there are any inconsistencies. For example, you don't jump from one industry to the other, to another, every 6 months or every 9 months or so. They prefer to for you to be in the same field or the same type of job or the same industry, for at least 2 years, right? So those are the things that you can start. Once you've done an assessment of those things
Motivation
that
is
you
powerful.
need. um then you can, once you've done that assessment, then you can basically, you'll know exactly where you are, and then from there, okay, you'll decide, okay, well, maybe I just switched jobs, or I just switched to a whole new different industry. Now I have to be in this industry consistently to show that to the lender.
Hmm.
So those are a few things that's part of that. Credit is another big thing to kind of prepare for. All right, so if your credit is not where it needs to be, which for most lenders, I mean, every loan product or loan type is requires a different credit score, but for the most part, if you're at a 640 or more, you should be approved for most of the loan types out there. And with that, if your score is not where it needs to be, then okay, then we need to have a game plan to get it there, to get it to where it needs to be. And then the
Gotcha.
last thing is, yeah, I think I already mentioned, is the work history. So with the work
Motivation
history,
is
again,
powerful.
you want to make sure that you know you're you can show, if you're just W-2. You want to make sure you consistently working as a W-2 employee, or if it's 1099, self-employed, business owner, whatever it may be, you want to show that consistency as well. So those are the three things. It will be the income, credit, and work history, and sort of the preparation phase, to buying a home.
Gotcha. That was well said, and you extremely and details lay out everything. And if you're watching this and you kind of heard something in the background, there is something we're trying to do in the show that's really new. Um, but anyway, Joe, listen, this is live. People will see that I am not perfect. But anyway,
No
I'm
one
going
is.
to try to play a little commercial scene we have for you. And we'll be right back. I hope it plays, by the way. Actually, it didn't play, Joe. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Motivation
shit.
is powerful.
Oh, I think it's
It
playing.
is
I
the
think it's
fuel
playing.
that takes you where you want to go and shapes you into who you want to be. The right kind of motivation propels you forward, but the wrong kind of motivation is like poison to your progress. Therefore, what motivates you ultimately controls you. But what if you took charge of your source of motivation? What if you didn't listen to what others say about you or even what you say about yourself, but instead listen to what God says about you? Defeat the lies of the enemy by believing the truth of what your Creator says about you. To motivate you, an inspiration will bring you where to motivate you.
That's what's up. I hope everybody saw it, Joe.
Right.
I think that was like a
it's
bad rookie job for Papa Goat.
it's okay. We'll have a coaching session after this.
We're gonna have a coaching session after this. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, I hope everybody was able to see that commercial. If you didn't know, Joe has his own clothing line, so go ahead and check it out. As a matter of fact, remember I placed my order, Joe. Listen, okay, I need like the red one and the black one. But anyway, make sure
Gotcha.
you put your
Gotcha.
order in. Contact Joe for more details. If you can still hear us or you saw that commercial, please put a thumbs up because I'm curious if the viewers saw it because I know I kind of messed up the screen by putting it on. But anyway, last but not least, we're going to be talking about perform. Because remember, we're talking
Yeah.
about the PPP. We're not talking about the PPP loan per se. We're talking about the planning,
PPP of the home
preparation.
buying process.
Exactly. For the home
Yes.
buying process. So,
Yes.
anyway,
All
Joe,
all the PPP helps, you know.
yeah, all of them, right?
Yeah, the
So,
government PPP, it all helps.
the loan PPP for the home buying process. So, make sure you comment below. If you have any question, reach out to us um, and let us know that you see that doing the show and you want more information so we can know exactly where everything is coming from. But last but not least, we're gonna be talking about perform. So Joe, please tell us for the third P, what
Yes.
should a
So
new home owner expect for the third P?
yeah, so the third P, and just a quick revision. The first P is planning. The second P is preparing, and then the last P is perform all slash purchase. Right, perform slash purchase. So basically, if you've planned everything out, you've prepared yourself. Now, let's say it took you 6 months, it took you a year to get everything ready. You got your credit score at a 680 or more. Preferably. You've got a good amount of savings for your down payment and things like that. Everything is fine. You know exactly where you're gonna buy the home. You know what school zones you want. All of that. Now it's time to go. It's time to start the process. Right? So first thing, you definitely gonna meet with a realtor or you meet with your loan officer. They issue an approval, and basically they're gonna find whatever is the best option, or the best, I always say, the best package for you to purchase the home, right? So unless you're military, you're a veteran or military affiliated, then of course you can use the VA and things like that. um If you're looking to maybe stay in a rural area, you can use the USDA where you actually pay nothing down. It's just $0 down. So there, your the lender will tell you exactly what's the best option for you once they've done an assessment with you based on everything. Your credit, the amount of money you have, and or the amount of money you want to spend. Because you may have all the money, but you don't want to spend it, then we'll find a way to create a specific plan for you. All right. So the first thing is gonna be search, right? Searching for that home. Right. So that's typically the part I think it takes a little bit longer to figure out because you want to know exactly what you want, right? You want to know, look, it's and well, let me not say exactly what you want. I should say exactly what you need, right?
Yep.
Exactly what you need, right? So if we can put the needs first, it would be great, right? So we would all love to have a 7 bedroom, 12 bathroom home with a pool in the backyard, but that may not necessarily be what we need right now, right? So um, so in the search process, the best thing to do is you want to have a few options, and you have your realtor send you a list of the different areas, different zip codes that you would like to stay in, and then from there you want to narrow it down to your, let's say, your top 10. Then from the top 10, then now we can sit down and compare those 10 together. So we'll look at the size of the home, square footage, um, the what the garage is like, if there is a garage, or if it's a carport, or if there is a pool. All of that, we'll take a look at where the home is within the neighborhood. Is it a corner lot? Do you prefer the corner lot? Or sometimes you'll find the same plan, the same type of home, or the same plan in the same neighborhood, but depending on exactly where it is, maybe it's at the end of a cul-de-sac, or maybe it's in the beginning of the street. So all of these different things we'll take a look at, compare those 10 together, then we want to come down to a top 5. So once we have the top 5, we schedule a time, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, because Sunday morning we're going to church. I'm just, and we schedule a time that we actually go and see those homes in person, right? And so we go and see all 5. It may take an hour or two, depending on the locations, and then from there, we'll have another sit down, and we'll make a decision on which one we want to move forward with. All right. So basically, you search, you pick, and after you pick it, you put a contract on the home. All right. And once you put a contract on the home, you, of course, you go through the process. There's that process of, getting the home inspected, making sure that everything is fine, getting the home appraised once we get there. And then if everything goes gravy, I guess you could say, you go to close, right? So that process can take between, I would say normally it would take between 4 to 6 weeks, right? So from the time we find the home, to the time that we close, it could take 4 to 6 weeks, or it could be even sooner. I've had clients that they were able to close in 23 days, right? But they had everything in order. They knew exactly what they wanted. Any paperwork that the lender needed, they could just email it right away to them. So again, that's why the first two P's are the planning and the preparing. Is because you don't want to get into the purchasing phase, and that's when you're doing all of this sort of planning and preparing. It's there's a process to this, and the best way, you want to make sure that you're prepared when you're ready to move forward. So again, planning, preparing, and then purchase, the PPP of the home buying process.
Love it. Love it. So, as you guys know, there are a lot of great realtors out there, you know.
Right.
However, when you're choosing a home buying or selling a home, you need to make sure your realtor know exactly what he or she is doing. So this is why
Right.
we have little segment like that so you can be well informed. So I hope you took a lot of notes and leave a comment for us if you have any question. Direct message Joe or myself, and we can answer any further question you may have. And also, um, Joe mentioned that in one of the threes, which is your credit, just make sure your credit is up to par when it comes to you getting ready to get a home. And if you do need that service, we do have partners that can help you fix your credit as well. So feel
Right.
free to help us. So anyway, Joe, it's always a pleasure to have you, man. We can actually be here
Absolutely.
for the whole evening.
Yes.
But anyway, please, as always, I always as a final word for our speaker or guest, what would be your final word to anyone who actually wants to start the home buying process to get the house?
Yeah, so the final word would be this, that it's possible. It's possible. I don't think I could say that enough. And I say that because a lot of times I think that's one of the main roadblocks that I face with clients, you know, even especially when they have just a little bit of interest, but then when we come up to some sort of roadblock, and they're they're ready to give up, or they just don't think it's possible. I would love to say to everyone that's watching that it's possible. It's for some people, it takes them 6 months. Some people it takes them a year. Some people it takes them 2 years. Some people you may have to wait. Let's say you had a foreclosure or something in your past, or something along that line. You may have to wait the 7 years, but it's possible. It's possible, and if you believe that, and you also are just you cooperate with the person that you're working with, they're going to make it happen. All right, just don't lose hope, don't lose faith. Just keep working at it, keep planning, keep preparing, and eventually you'll be able to make that purchase.
Yeah, I'm so happy you said that. And as you were telling um, disclosure, one person that came to mind was my brother. My brother, when he first came from Haiti, we lived in an apartment down in Orlando. And one day we was listening to music and the door was open. And after maybe a couple hours or so, there was a knock on the door and it was a police officer. And my brother is like brand new here to the US, no English. And say, hey, can we help you? It's like, well, the door has been open for a while, and there was actually music coming out in one of the neighbors' car. Let me be clear. We do not listen to like super loud music.
Wow.
So anyway, spoke with the officer, everything was okay. Nice guy. And my brother asked me, say, hey, what was this about? I'm like, well, this is what happened. And he was like, everywhere is like that in this country. I'm like, well, when you live in an apartment, it's kind of different, it's kind of restricted. So I told him the difference between an apartment and buying a home. And you know what he said to me, Joe? He said, when I move, I will buy a house.
Nice.
I will never move to an apartment. Now, that's him being here for like 1 month or 2 months in the United States. Long
Wow.
story short, a couple years later, he buy a house.
Yeah.
He never moved to an apartment. So when you say it's possible, many people may think that buying a house is too much of a big project. It's really not. As long you find somebody that know what they're doing, that understand the process, your home buying will become a reality where you have more freedom, because I will never forget that day in the apartment. So With that being said, Joe, once again, thank you for being here tonight. Any question
Thanks
for
for having me.
us, put it in the comment below. And Joe, until next time, my brother.
All right. Thank you, Mr. American Dream. Appreciate you. Appreciate you having me.
Of course. Thank you for being here. Bye bye.
All right.